The news hit like a bombshell among Texas Longhorns football fans. Nobody expected this to happen to this player. I am still in shock over all of this. Yet another twist comes to light and promises to stir up the fans. But after all, who is the player causing all of this? I am talking about him, Anthony Smith, a player who in a single game seemed to become the backbone of the team's defense. What on earth happened to this future that looked so bright and so certain under Steve Sarkisian's program? The silence that took over the locker room in recent weeks hides much more than any fan can imagine. And that is exactly what we are going to break down now, calmly, with attention to detail, and with that critical eye that only those who truly follow college football behind the scenes can have. If you're passionate about the Texas Longhorns and want to understand every strategic move, every controversial decision, and every story that the mainstream sports media doesn't cover in depth, now is the time to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, because stories like this will keep showing up here, exclusively and straight to the point. Returning to the case, after months of expectation and rumors circulating quietly behind the scenes, the confirmation has finally come to light. Smith is no longer on the team. But head coach Steve Sarkisian's official statement functioned almost like a password to an even greater mystery than the player's departure itself. He stated, bluntly, without mincing words, that Smith was dismissed for conduct detrimental to the team. But what exactly does such a generic and yet heavy expression mean? Sarkisian gave no details, didn't elaborate, didn't lay everything out. He only mentioned an unfortunate situation and a feeling of hurt for both him individually and for the team as a whole. He made it clear, in an almost resigned tone, that despite Smith being a player of undeniable quality, the priority within the Longhorns program will always be the team, the collective, and discipline above individual talent. But the burning question remains, what exactly does this detrimental conduct hide? What was so serious as to remove from the field a talent who just a few weeks earlier was acclaimed as one of the defense's great revelations? And this is precisely where we begin to feel the true weight of this story. The sudden departure of a player of this caliber over something so nebulous and poorly explained is not just a gap on the roster that can be filled next season. It is a sign, an indication that something bigger, more complex, and perhaps more delicate may be unfolding behind the scenes of the Texas Longhorns. The team loses an athlete with direct impact on the game, but the fans are left with a screaming question in their heads. What is the truth behind all of this? Because let's be honest, vague statements from coaches usually hide much more than they reveal, and this is no different in the world of American college football. This episode cannot be treated just as a normal roster cut, one of those things that happen every year on practically any NCAA team. The absence of a linebacker who shone precisely in the Citrus Bowl with such a vague and generic justification points to an invisible tension that may have been boiling behind the scenes longer than we imagine. What does this detrimental conduct mean for a team that needs total focus, especially at a decisive moment in the season when every detail counts and every distraction could cost dearly on the field? What exactly are the Longhorns trying to protect by not revealing what really happened to Smith? Could it be an internal disciplinary issue, a conflict between players, a behavioral problem off the field, or something even more serious that the coaching staff prefers to keep in absolute secrecy? These questions remain without an official answer, and it is precisely this type of mystery that fuels conversations among fans, commentators, and analysts nationwide. The lingering feeling is that college football's backstage hides much more than flashy headlines manage to show, and that Anthony Smith's detrimental conduct may just be the tip of a much larger iceberg, full of internal dramas, difficult decisions, and choices that shape the destiny of an entire program within the NCAA.
Elite programs like the Texas Longhorns live under constant pressure, both on and off the field, and situations like this reinforce how thin the line between talent and discipline can be when it comes to maintaining the unity of a group competing at a high level. While the organization keeps its stance closed, it remains for the fans to speculate, closely follow the upcoming developments, and try to understand how this absence will impact the defensive scheme in the upcoming games of the season. Will another player manage to fill this space with the same intensity that Smith showed in the Citrus Bowl? Will this decision strengthen the team's culture in the long run, even if it costs an important piece in the short run? These are reflections that only time and perhaps future more transparent interviews can truly answer. But what about you, who closely follow every move of the Texas Longhorns? What do you think really happened to Tyanthony Smith? Leave your comment down below sharing your opinion on this case, and let's keep this conversation going about the backstage that often the NFL and NCAA prefer to keep hidden from the general public. If this content helped you see this story in a new light, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates on this and other cases involving American college football.